Hello, hello, hello. It's your good friend Aaron. I forgot I gotta look over here. And I've been divorced for 6 years, but I do plan on getting remarried at some point, unless Jesus returns before then. And I have this book. I don't even know where I found this book. When I'm out driving around Kansas City, I find random books that people give away for free, and this is one of them. This is called 1001 Questions to Ask Before You Get Married by Monica Menendez Leahy. I've actually gone through some of these questions with former potential women that I was courting, and just like women friends. But yeah, it would have been funny to like get them on here and get their responses, but maybe in the future. All right, so I'm just gonna do one question a day. It's 1,001, so I'm gonna do one every day for the next 1,000 days, just to add another piece of interesting content to the feed. All right, so I'm gonna read this heading. It says growing up in a traditional family. That's the heading. So some of y'all, they didn't grow up in a two-parent household or a traditional family with the original mom, original dad, no divorce and that. Yeah. Um, some of y'all that, all of y'all that grew up in homes like that, that had a traditional family, this is gonna be, these questions are gonna be more tailored to you. For those of y'all that didn't, no harm, no foul, no judgment here. Like, that was your life. And there's some questions in there for you all as well. I should probably edit this part out because I'm just talking crazy now. Sometimes I feel like the things that I'm saying are just kind of like, but hey, this is go. Although recent headlines report the death of the two-parent household, America is still largely made up of the traditional nuclear family. If you were blessed with two happily married parents, you've been fortunate to have a front row seat in observing what it takes to make a marriage successful or not successful. With your partner, I don't have no partner. Use my imaginary partner. Oh, I was like, what is that noise? It's my dryer still going. It's just me and Jesus. He's my partner. All right, with your partner, read each question, allowing each person to express his or her answer without interruption. Discuss, it's my therapist's voice. Discuss if and how the answers given will affect your marriage. All right, let's go. Question number 1. What do you believe was the bond that kept your parents married? Oh boy. Man. I'll say it was two things. The fact that they had children together. My brother. It's interesting. My father's passed away, unfortunately. He passed away in May 2022. But my mom is still alive, and but it's hard to get answers out of her, like good juicy answers. This would probably be a question to ask my grandma. Like, what was the bond that kept her and my grandpa together for all those years? They ended up getting divorced later. My parents got divorced later after like 35 years. But anyway, I think if I were to ask my mom, or just from the outside looking in, the bond that kept my parents together was my brother. That's what I was trying to say. There was like a 5 year gap where it was just my brother. So I sometimes wonder, like, what was it like during those 5 years when it was just him before I came along? Um, was there any point in time where my mom felt like she could have left my dad or they got divorced? There was a period of time, like the year after my brother was born, my dad had this spiritual radical encounter with Jesus, almost like a road to Damascus type situation. He actually grew up in church in a very religious background, and then he had this encounter with Jesus, and like he ended up like resigning from his job at Monsanto, and he had a good job, and yeah, he resigned from that, and then he went out to Virginia where he was originally from. He left my mom in St. Louis by herself. My mom had to like move in with my grandparents, I believe. Yeah, and my dad went out to Virginia. I talk with my eyes closed because it's easier for me to think that way. I picture things with my eyes closed, and it helps me not be distracted. Some of y'all are like, why is he talking with his eyes closed? Anyway, yeah, my dad went out to Virginia to start a church with a cousin or something like that. I know bits of this story, not the whole. Like I don't know. I heard bits of this growing up. Yeah, that was 1983. So I'm sure there was a time where my mom they could have divorced then, right? She could have been angry, and then my dad came back because that whole church situation didn't work out, and I had to hear about that for my entire life. My brother and I had to hear 83, 83. That's why 83 is such a significant number for me. Anyway, so I haven't even answered the question yet. Welcome to the mind of Aaron. So, what was the bond that kept my parents together? One, having my brother. They didn't, they, let's see, they got married. They met, all right, they met when my mom was 13 and my dad was 18. That's a whole nother long story. They met in Baltimore. They were in this church called Church of God Saints of Christ. Both my grandparents on both sides of my family were pastors of it in different cities. And they met at a Passover, right? It's a super long story, but not that long, but it's a long story. I'll share it another time. And so, how do I want to answer this question? Boy, I'm struggling. I should restart this. What was the bond that kept them together? The fact that, they got married when my mom was 18. My dad was 23. But they had this history, and their families had this history. My dad was writing all these letters to my mom, and they broke up a couple times. Anyway, during those 5 years before, I need to ask my mom, when did my dad actually start writing her letters? Because my grandma used to screen the letters, and then eventually she just let them. So like for 5 years, I think my dad was like courting my mom long distance, I think. I need to ask my mom more questions about that. Like, when would dad start writing those letters to her? Because if some 18-year-old dude started writing my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, my daughter's 14 now. No, she's 15. Damn. Anyway, if they started writing my daughter letters, I would not be cool with that. And so I guess it'd be three things. There was a long courting period, and they had this like history together, and the families knew each other's similar religion. And then they had my brother a year after they got married. They got married in 1981, and then they had my brother in 1982. And then, so yeah, the courting period and the families. So I guess before the courting period, I believe there was a long courting period where my dad was just writing her letters and pursuing her heart, simping, a lot of simping, and Jodeci crying. And then the families knew each other. There was that shared history, shared religion, shared respect between the parents. And then, my grandma liked my dad a lot. And then having my brother, and then eventually me. And then I guess it would be, is that 3? Is that 4? Man, this is horrible. This is a horrible video. But I'm going to save it. Yeah. Shared family. They loved one another. All right, let's just sum it down into one answer. What was the biggest thing? What was the number one reason why that my parents stayed together? What was the bond? I think it was, that initial how you met story. They grew up together. They knew each other since they were young. And that's a hard bond to break. All right.